Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Gary Harris.
The Alabama softball team returned to Tuscaloosa on Sunday night after wrapping up their second consecutive SEC regular season championship by sweeping Ole Miss over in Oxford. They outscored the Rebels 36-2 in the three-game series. But because of what they've been through this year with the gut-wrenching losses to Florida and LSU, and of course on top of that, much more dramatic, the tornado that's affected our area, we asked Coach Pat Murphy if this one was a little more special. You have to believe that it is because of the tornado. And he says not just for the players and the coaches and the university, but this entire community. There's stuff that's bigger than softball, but they were glad to bring back a championship.
And we actually put up a little sign on our dugout, T-Town Never Down, and it didn't last the whole game. We were asked to take it down, but you know, we wanted them to know that, you know, we were thinking about them, and we'll definitely try to put it up again Thursday night when we go back there again and play Mississippi State. But it's, I think everybody knew we were playing for something a lot bigger than just ourselves.
Absolutely, and they represented Alabama well, as that softball team always does. Good evening, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Tider Insider TV presented by Buffalo Rock. Tonight, ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a treat that we'll be enjoying alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris, and let's stay with softball, Rodney, because the Tide wins the SEC championship. Now, for a while, it looked like that might not happen. We're going to look at some action from over in Oxford on Sunday after getting swept at LSU in gut-wrenching fashion and losing 2 out of 3 at Florida. Again, dramatic last-at-bat losses. And then having the series canceled against Kentucky at home because of the tornado. Alabama really faced long odds. They needed to sweep Ole Miss, and that wasn't necessarily that long odds, but then they have to have Florida win 2 out of 3 over Tennessee. Not only did that happen, Florida swept the series, so Alabama gets the SEC championship, and it's back-to-back, Rodney, for the Tide.
Yeah, incredible. Pat Murphy done a great job with this program, this team this year, obviously. But, you know, we know what Patrick Murphy's goal is, Gary. Win the national championship.
That's the only thing left. I mean, that's the only thing left for this team. Of course, last year they got beat on a last-at-bat home run by Hawaii in the Super Regional. Prior to that, they lost in the World Series on a grand slam to the University of Florida, so they've had their share of heartbreak, and now this year dealing with the tornado. You have to think if karma is playing an effect here, that this is going to be the year that Alabama takes it home. It would be fitting, I think. Well,
you know, you certainly hope so, and again, I think they have the team to do it, but, you know, as you mentioned, Gary, they've kind of hit some, you know, once they get to the World Series or they've hit some bad luck. You know, you mentioned 2 years ago with the Grand Slam at Florida that beat them at the end. It looked like they were on their way. And, you know, certainly Patrick Murphy is due some good luck in the World Series. It'll be interesting to see the way that they treat the tournament, knowing that they're going to host a regional in all probability. It's, you know, I'm going to see if he throws Kelsey Dunn every game like he did last year, which is doubtful, or if they spread it around, or if they take the approach that, hey, if we win, we win. If we don't, we can get some rest. It'll be interesting beginning on Thursday. All right, baseball, also very interesting. The Alabama baseball team, as of right now, if the tournament started today, would be the number 2 seed. You're asking, well, how would they be the number 2 seed with a 12-12 record? Well, they would be the winner of the West. They're tied with Arkansas, but they hold the tiebreaker. And if you win the West, regardless of your overall record, you get that number 2 seed, which would be huge. With Vanderbilt right now, the number 1 seed out of the East, South Carolina and Florida right there. Arkansas is in as of today. Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, 3 teams from the West battling for those last 2 spots. But Alabama really helped themselves this past weekend, Rodney, by doing something that they hadn't done since 2005, and that was win a series against LSU. And that's after they gave up 10 runs on Friday night, lost game 1, but came back behind Adam Morgan on Saturday with a shutout, 4-0. And then behind Jonathan Smart, who pitched the 9th on Saturday, came back and started and went 8 1/3 on Sunday as the Tide shut out LSU 9-0. It was the first time since 1982 that LSU had been shut out in back-to-back games in the SEC. So this Alabama team, you know, they've hung in there all year long, and I like their chances. Well, you know, you remember last year they had some struggles and they bounced back. Mitch Gaspard's teams seem to have find a way when their backs are to the wall to bounce back. You know, it started out great this year, hit the struggling point, and now all of a sudden, you know, beat LSU 2 out of 3 and could be on their way. All right, they've got 6 games left.
They've got a trip to Auburn this weekend. You never know what's going to happen in that series, a rivalry series. Auburn 1 game back of Alabama and Arkansas in the standings. And then they've got South Carolina at home. So 6 to go. They could win the West, or wild as the West is, could still finish near the bottom of the standings. So some work to be done, but they are looking good so far at this point in the season. Well, football news now. Suspended Alabama defensive lineman Brandon Moore is reportedly exploring his options, including the possibility of a transfer. Head coach Nick Saban was asked about Moore at last week's Crimson Caravan stop in Birmingham, and the coach said because of the tornado, he's not had an opportunity to meet with Moore because of the weather.
The fact that school got canceled has made it a little bit more difficult, so the plan now is wait till grades come in, further assess the situation, but he's suspended indefinitely.
Rodney, this is a guy out of Montgomery that when Alabama signed him, you and I both thought, man, he's got all the potential in the world. Big, I mean, really big. Fast, athletic defensive lineman, could also play on the offensive line, but he seems to have never really gotten it going here at Alabama. Now his career is up in the air here at UA. You got any insight or any feel for what's going to happen there?
Again, Brandon Moore was still very young. He has a tremendous amount of potential. I think he's probably going to East Mississippi Community College, then be re-recruited after that next year. We'll see what happens. If he doesn't go to East Mississippi, he may go to a smaller school and play right away. But again, I think right now, as of late last week, the plan was for him to go to East Mississippi.
If he goes over there to Scuba, to East Mississippi, is there a chance he could return to Alabama?
I don't think he's coming back to Alabama.
Okay, all right, good information right there. Well, as we mentioned, Coach Saban was in Birmingham for last week's Crimson Caravan. He was joined by former Tide players Marcel Darius, now the Buffalo Bills, or soon to be of the Buffalo Bills, and Corey Reamer, who were collecting donations for the Red Cross's relief efforts, and both young men also did what you expect young men of this character to do. They took money out of their own pockets and donated as well. Coach Saban says football right now, whether you like it or not, the fact of the matter is it's taking a back seat to doing what is right, and that's helping people in need.
You can see it on TV, but when you feel it, when you meet somebody who lost their home and all their possessions, or their business or loved ones, probably greater than all, and that has been the most difficult thing for me personally.
And support has been coming in from everywhere, including from arch rival Auburn. Tiger fans, Coach Gene Chizik, Auburn players have been helping out, and Coach Saban has made a point to say, in this conference, not just Alabama Auburn, but in this conference, you compete against each other all year long. But when something like this happens, people come together, and we've certainly seen that with Alabama and Auburn, and we've seen it from other SEC schools as well. The conference office donating $500,000. It's really been remarkable and heartfelt, I think, for everybody that lives in this area.
Well, I mean, this transcends everything. The rivalry, the sport, I mean, it's not even a comparison, not even on the same level. And I do agree with you, Gary. It's been touching to see that, but at the same time, and I think it's good. I think it's good for both schools.
And it'll be good, too, when football season gets here, as much as people in Alabama and the Southeast have been through. The games will be welcomed, and we'll get back to the competition. But right now is a time for recovery, a time for healing, and an opportunity for people to rebuild their lives. And it's good to see that all the Southeastern Conference schools and their fans recognize that. Well, still to come on TITV, more on the tornado relief efforts. We'll tell you how faith and football are combining to help those people affected by the deadly storms. Also, as always, we'll get to your phone calls and answer your email questions as well. 205-348-WVUA, that's 348-9882, or you can email us at titv@wvuatv.com. But first, Rodney's got his recruiting update. That'll be coming up next when Tider Insider TV continues on a Tuesday evening here in Tuscaloosa from the studios of WVUA TV. We're back on TITV alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. It's recruiting update time. Rodney, everybody always watches and waits for you to give them the update, so let's not waste any time. Let's start out with a wide receiver. You've got a story on TiderInsider.com right now about Deron Neal out of St. Louis, and he likes the Tide.
They call him Young Julio. His teammates nicknamed him that. He's been an Alabama fan for quite some time, and talked to Deron last night. Alabama's still right there at the top of his list. He has 24 offers, Gary, coast to coast, Oklahoma, USC, those type of offers. He'll be here this summer on a visit. We'll see what happens.
And what about Deion Bonner out of Columbus Carver? I mean, that's become a hotbed for prospects. You know that the usual suspects, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Florida, and all the SEC's in there on him.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Deion Bonner's recruitment. Gary, he's an outstanding prospect. There's no question about that. There might have been some off-the-field issues. Some people say Georgia may have pulled their offer. Again, that's speculation, but I know he told us that Alabama was his favorite last week.
I understand Dylan Lee, big linebacker out of Buford, Georgia, has got it down to 3 schools, and Alabama's one of them.
Alabama, USC, and Florida State. And Gary, you know, we've said this a few weeks ago. Alabama is in on
everybody.
Yeah, they're in on everybody. They're not going to be able to take everybody. So, you know, I think right now Dylan Lee announces on May 16th, and I think he probably picks Florida State. But again, Alabama can't take everybody.
Every week we talk about a defensive tackle, and from all around the country, Alabama is in on so many of them. From up in Flint, Michigan, hometown of Mark Ingram, Danny O'Brien, 6'2", 95. Look at those guns on him.
Yeah, Catholic high school, and he is an excellent prospect. Gary's starting to draw more and more offers almost on a daily basis. He really likes the SEC. You know, a lot of coaches have gone up there and said, hey, can we get him away from Michigan or Michigan State? His high school coach told me, he said, you know, he loves the SEC, Alabama and Tennessee in there, Arkansas is in there. But again, he's getting offers on a daily basis.
That's our recruiting update for this week. Of course, Rodney will be more than happy to answer questions later on the phone call segment if you have a recruiting question specifically about someone else. Well, coming up, how faith in Alabama football are helping tornado victims. And also, as I said, your phone calls still to come here on the program. Again, there's the number 205-348-9882. Or you can email us if you would prefer at TITV@WVUATV.com. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back to TITV. Phone calls in a moment. But first, the mile-wide tornado that ripped through Tuscaloosa on April 27th killed, well, it just killed too many people. It leveled businesses and tore apart homes and shredded lives. But it also, in the same sense, brought families together, neighbors, and the community as one. And for the survivors of the storm, several are now clinging to whatever they can, including their faith and their football.
I'm Reverend Kelvin W. Crum. I'm pastor of College Hill Baptist Church, located in Alberta City, which is in the city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Okay. Hey, Deacon, how you doing?
Hey, Pastor.
Woo.
Thanks, glad to be alive.
I know what you mean. We're devastated. We've been in this community a long time, and just to look around and see what all we see, a lot of people are hurt. There's loss of life, but nevertheless, we will rebuild and we will come back. This is just a facility. The church is in our heart. About Alabama Roll Tide. Well, it does run deep in my family. My father, the late Reverend Sylvester Crum, and he was a spiritual advisor to Coach Bryant and also to Coach Perkins and Coach Curry. We were taught by my dad and we taught by Coach Bryant that when situations come into your life, obstacles come, then you have to be strong. Whatever God leads you to, He'll lead you through it.
See the difference every Saturday how we come together, and the football and the religion, and this right here, this storm, I think brought everything together right here, and I just love the way the Lord brought football, brought everything together to us. Time, roll.
Green. My nickname is Clee Green. Over a small shop here. We have rough times and good times. It's just like a football field. When you get down and chip, you have deep down, deep inside yourself, and pull yourself up.
We're one people. We're Alabamians. We're Tuscaloosians. We will pull together.
Man, nice piece. And a couple pretty good football players. Kelvin Croom, Sylvester's younger brother, highly recruited out of high school to Alabama. And then Terry Jones, a great player at center, then at nose tackle, then in the NFL. And football, you know, you see an example right there of what it can mean to a community when a community is battling adversity.
That's right. You know, you remember Terry Jones, you mentioned him. Who replaced him at center when they moved him to defense in '77? Dwight Stevenson.
Who was pretty good too.
Pretty good.
What a run of centers they had during the '70s under Coach Bryant there. And later in the show, we'll tell you how you can contribute to the relief efforts yourself. All right, let's get to some phone calls right now, and let's go and talk with our good friend Trey in West Blockton. Trey, welcome into the program, my friend.
Thanks, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing well. What you got for us tonight? I saw you message me on Facebook, so I know you had something big tonight.
Yeah, I did, and I was reading the Rivals 250, the initial 2012 football recruiting rankings on Rivals.com, and Quan Alexander, now I understand this is just one set of rankings, but he's at number 77, and based on the general buzz leading up to these initial rankings for all the different sources or whatever, I inferred that he would almost certainly be among the top 10 overall players in the country. And relative to the buzz, I don't know what's more surprising, his being at number 77 or Reggie Ragland checking in at 217. What are your thoughts, Rodney?
Yeah, Rodney, thanks, Trey. I'm going to let Rodney answer that. I just, from my perspective, I just don't get caught up in too much of that. I know what the coaches around this region think of both those guys, and Quan Alexander is a football player that everybody in the SEC would love to have.
Oh, absolutely. Look, Trey, the only rankings that matter are Nick Saban's. I'm telling you, you well know it. If Nick Saban wants a player, he's got to be an outstanding prospect. There's no question about that. I wouldn't pay much attention to the rankings. It's like Nick Saban said many times, you got to try to figure out who is it doing the rankings.
Yeah. Yeah, his ranking service is the one that I like to go by, and it had 4 first-round draft picks just a couple of weeks ago. Thanks, Trey, for the phone call. Listen, we got callers on hold. We got to get a break in, though. We'll be back with more phone calls after this. You've probably noticed that Rodney and I are both decked out in beautiful original elephant wear dress shirts again tonight from the Locker Room, located on the University Strip. We'd like to thank the Locker Room for providing us with original elephant wear, and they'll provide you with it as well. All you have to do is go by the Locker Room Monday through Saturday, or you can look them up online as well. They're the home of the original elephant wear, whether it be shirts, pullovers, ties, pants, much, much more, or any other fine menswear. Check them out online at www.locker-room.biz, or go by and see Alex, Rush, or any of the other good folks at the Locker Room Monday through Saturday, located on the University of Alabama Strip. Okay, let's get back to the phones. Kelvin's been patiently holding in Tuscaloosa. Kelvin, welcome into the program.
How y'all doing today?
Doing well.
All right, first of all, my prayers go out to the tornado victims, first of all.
Okay.
And here's my question. Is Nick Saban planning on using a quarterback system, because like A.J. McCarron and Philip Smith, like their statistics have been like very identical. Like I wonder if he was going to be using
good question, Kelvin. Rodney, we've talked about this some. Could there be a 2-quarterback system in use in 2011?
There could be, and like I said, I've said this for quite a while. I wouldn't be surprised early on if there is some sort of system, whether or not they'll devise it in terms of this guy play this number of snaps or series. I don't know how they might do it. Again, we'll have to see how that all works out, Kelvin. But, you're talking about statistics, and again, statistics really don't mean a whole lot when you're talking about spring practice, because they do so many different things. Guys are working with different groups and all those things. And, so really stats don't tell the whole picture. I think the guy who can lead the team and make the least amount of mistakes will be the guy that probably gets the most playing time.
Hey, CB, we got about 45 seconds for you, my friend, so make it snappy.
All right, buddy. It won't take me but a second. Rodney, what about Preston Dowd? I thought he was a pretty good player. He going to catch anybody on with anybody? What do you think?
CB, and I'll let Rodney talk about Preston a little bit. Right now, you can't sign free agents in the NFL because of the lockout. Yeah, once that's cleared up, he's going to sign with somebody. He'll get a shot.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think he is an excellent player, and I think he has tremendous work ethic. He has the kind of attitude, that teams are looking for. So I think he's going to have an opportunity.
Let's go to Coleman real quick, Dustin. What you got for us?
What is the status on Barry Sanders' son coming to Alabama? I mean, has he committed anywhere? Is he still interested?
Yeah, Dustin, Rodney, the latest on Barry Sanders out of Oklahoma.
Well, there hasn't been a lot, to be honest with you, of late. And again, he has been looking at Alabama strongly. As you know, he made a trip here back in the spring, and I think he's very interested in Alabama. I think Florida State's in there very strongly. But again, you know, with his dad playing at Oklahoma State, they're never going to be out of the picture. I do know that he likes Alabama's style of offense, Gary, and the way they prepare backs for the NFL. Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson coming up, you know, Eddie Lacy. So I think he sees that trend. He really likes Alabama's style of offense. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But Alabama will be a factor.
All right, thanks for the phone calls. We'll be back right after this. The University of Alabama has established the UA Acts of Kindness Fund. All the donations will go to assist students, faculty, and staff who were impacted in the storms. If you would like to make a contribution, you can do so by logging on to bit.ly/UA Acts of Kindness. The UA Athletics Department this past week contributed $1 million to the effort. And the City of Tuscaloosa has established a website for monetary donations at www.givetuscaloosa.com. Click the Donate Now link on the left or mail your checks to Tuscaloosa Disaster Relief Fund. There you see the address on your screen. Get involved. It will make you feel good about helping others. And it's time to feel good about dinner. This week, Rodney and I and the TI crew headed out to the Pottery Grill in Northport. We love it when folks join us for dinner. We'll talk some football with you or anything else. And don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's show, there's only one place you can go to watch it again, WVUATV.com. We'll have it posted later on this evening. So for Rodney Orr and the entire TITV crew, I'm Gary Harris. I want to wish Arthur Gay, one of our great cameramen, a happy 26th birthday. 26 going on 66. Have a good night.